Well, hey everybody, it's Lisa, and I'm back today to talk to one of our amazing teachers at True North Homeschool Academy, Alex Vallejos. And I'm so glad you're here, Alex. How is it going?
It is going well. It's going great. Yeah, it's been a really great semester. I've had a really awesome group of students with my classes this semester. I've really loved it. I love the conversations they're having. I love just seeing their progress that they're making. It's been
I
great.
love it. I love it. You have taught for us. This is your second year of teaching. You're one of our youngest teachers, but you bring so much rich life experience, and I love that you're teaching for us. So
Thank
glad to
you.
have you on board. You have been teaching judicial essay. This is your second year of teaching judicial essay, and you have a group of books. So it's a lit and comp class, but you're also in the spring. A new class is political debate or political essay. And it's just a one semester class and super excited. So we wanted to just take some time and introduce that class to our listeners. So let's talk about why we're doing an other essay class. Like, I think this is our fourth or fifth one that we offer at True North Homeschool Academy. But one of the things I think is so important for our kids to really know how to write a really solid essay is it's such a foundational piece of writing. Like if they know how to write an essay, they can write pretty much anything. Would you agree with that? Or
Yeah, oh, I absolutely would. And if anything, I think even beyond just writing an essay, and this is something I try to really kind of like let my students know as well in the and like the judicial essay writing is that it goes beyond just like writing a paper, but it's about gathering information and actually knowing what you're talking about. And if something is presented to you, if somebody presents an argument, you aren't just going to say, okay, well, what is the popular opinion saying? But actually being able to make a decision for yourself and have that critical thinking. And
yeah,
I think doing these essays like this, like the judicial essay, and even what the political essay course is going to be on, are going to be really helping fostering that critical thinking and that
yeah,
ability to not just kind of have an idea of just like, okay, well, what is somebody saying on TikTok? What is this person on TV saying? But what is actually going on? Let me gather the information. Let me make that decision for myself based off of evidence, not just talking points.
yeah. So I love the point you just made. It really helps kids research beyond what social media they might be gathering information from. It helps them really dig a little bit deeper. One of the things you've done in the judicial essay is you do read books, and it's a lit and comp class, and that's how the political essay class is set up. The political essay class is just a semester long class. You're going to be reading four books that are kind of political. You're going to be reading Animal Farm by Orwell, The Crucible by Miller. Is that a play? I'm not even sure. Is he a playwright?
Um,
I thought he was.
yeah, yeah. So it's a playwright, but it has been transcribed into kind of a a written format.
Yeah,
In my judicial essay class, we also have a another one that's also a play, actually.
yeah,
I like trying to see if we can kind of change up the genre
yeah.
and the medium of writing. I think that helps the students a bit.
That's so cool. You're also going to read Fahrenheit 451, one of my very favorite books of all time, and Slaughterhouse Five by Kurt Vonnegut, who's one of my favorite authors of all time too. So he's got kind of a snarky wit, so maybe that's why I like him. But you are going to be only four books for the semester, so that you can kind of do a deep dive into those books and really get some great discussion going. And that is kind of the hallmark of your classes. I've heard from parents that their kids are loving the discussions that they're having in the classes with you. So I like that you make time for the kids to just focus on a few pieces of literature and really get an idea of what the author is saying and what it's speaking to them and all those kind of things. Are the kids making connections between what they're reading and what's going on in the world?
Some of them are for sure. I think definitely when they're reading these books, they're kind of seeing how this is relevant to them. And sometimes it becomes a little trickier with some of the books. Like I know in the judicial essay class recently, we were reading through The Scarlet Letter, which is a really amazing book. But on just surface level, it's like, okay, this is Puritan, like
Yeah,
really early, like founding of America. Like, what does this have to do with 2023?
yeah,
But then kind of just prompting a couple questions to them kind of brings out that that idea for them that they're like, oh, okay, like there is much deeper discussions on these are things that transcend time and transcend location, or just human to human interactions and things that we can actually just kind of understand even just where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of the students really starting to make those connections, even with our latest reading as well. Their eyes are watching God.
Yeah.
It's a really great book about just kind of a coming age story. Has a lot of things, just kind of discussions about just how the time was, comparing that to how time is now. And the
I think
students have
that
really been making those connections well.
I love it. As a teacher, that's just like, yes, that's where it's at. Scarlet Letter, too. I mean, so many applications for, I mean, people are they're getting big red letters on them social media wise. And there's
Mhm.
a lot of, that's what makes a classic, right? Like it transcends time and all that kind of stuff. So, great connections. So we decided we needed another semester long class where the kids could really learn how to write an essay. So many kids know how to write a persuasive essay, but we wanted them to realize that there's other kinds of essays that are super important. We get so many requests for speech and debate, but we tried that online and it's really hard to do speech and debate online. I mean, we've done it, but anyway, this felt like a good compromise so that the kids could really get some speech and debate skills without having to do a speech and debate online, which gets complicated. And they're still getting that great essay writing skill in their toolbox. And political essay, tell us how that's a little bit different than judicial essay. And I actually made notes for myself because I had to get really clear, like, what is the difference between this kind of essay and that kind of essay?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, like the judicial essay, when we hear like the term judicial, we think of kind of like a courtroom
Yeah.
and kind of judges, lawyers, defendants, victims, and stuff. And that's kind of where a lot of that basis kind of flows for like a judicial writing. You're looking at kind of finding an issue, finding something to address, and you're looking at all of the evidence, building out the evidence, building out a case. And then once you have the evidence, then you can see where that evidence leads you and which direction to fall on for defending somebody or defending an action.
Yeah.
When it comes to the political essay, you're still taking a lot of these essay writing things, but you're kind of funneling that into a different medium.
Mhm.
So you're looking at an issue, some kind of problem that is present, and then you are, instead of kind of looking at the challenging back and forth of things, you're looking at just what is a way to just solve this? What is a way to address this issue in a
Yeah.
way that we can solve? So it's, um, I guess, kind of looking at that parallel of like judicial essay is kind of a courtroom. We
Mhm.
can look at the political essay as almost kind of like a Capitol Hill kind of hearing, like kind of presenting like, okay, like I'm standing before you all to present this issue that's happening, and this is what we have come up with as ways to address this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of some of the differences that are
Yeah.
going on between the two.
I love it. And the one thing that I wrote down that I think is so important on the political essay, the kids have to gather evidence. And it's just like for a debate, if they're on a debate team, they actually have to do the research and gather the evidence with citations, which might leave some of their TikTok stuff out, which I think is helpful for kids to realize that they should be doing research beyond social media. And if they're going to really present an argument, how to really win an argument is to present evidence that they can actually cite. It's a source that's done research and those kind of things, and it's all towards a solution. So a political essay is really solution oriented essay. And I think these are really good real world transferable skills that our kids desperately need. Like you mentioned earlier, it really develops critical thinking because, I mean, when your kids are in fifth grade, if you say write a 3 or 5 paragraph essay about a paperclip, they should, well, really by seventh or eighth grade, they should be able to do that. But you don't really need to research paper clips necessarily to write that. You can just make a funny story about how you twisted it up into a cartoon shape or whatever. But this really gets more into real world. How are you going to research a topic, prove your point with evidence so that it's reasonable and you're leading your listeners or readers to a solution?
Yeah, I think it's so important. And being one of the few teachers that is like definitely on the younger side, as I'm teaching, I'm actually also in college myself. So I've actually been able to have kind of that really interesting pleasure to be able to kind of see on a college campus discussions that are having different debates, different kind of like back and forth, like topics that people are kind of going over that are sometimes really hot button topics.
Yeah.
And everybody's always like, okay, well, you have to have an opinion. You have to have a stance on this. And whether you have the information or not, give us a stance. And
Mhm.
I see so many people that are just kind of rolling along without really having that idea of like gathering evidence, actually understanding what they know, actually having an argument and having solutions. A lot of people really love to talk about, well, there's problems in the world. There's so many problems. It's like, okay, but like, what can we do about that? There's problems. Well, yeah, but like,
Yeah.
what can you do? What is action? What is actual like ways that we can actually make changes
Mm.
to address a problem? If there's a problem, like, how is that addressed? And I
Mhm.
think having the classes like this really helps students be prepared for that, because if they do decide to go off to college, they're going to be faced with people that are bringing forward these ideas as well, are bringing forward these challenges of just different ideologies, different ways to kind of think about things,
Yeah.
and how are they going to face those challenges? Are they going to be able to gather information to be able to make solutions, solve problems, or are they just going to kind of go along with the flow? So I think having just this ability to do this is super, super valuable. And I can see it really benefiting so many of these students as they start to move into college or beyond.
Yeah, you're really talking about worldview. And one of the things I really res respect and appreciate about you personally, Alex, is that you are conservative, Christian on a very liberal campus, and so you have that dichotomy going in your own personal life every time you go to school. And so, and then you come to True North and you're teaching these really nice, like pretty much G-rated homeschool kids, and so you're really trying to balance all that. But I love the fact that you're bringing real world skills to our kids so that they can go to any college campus and be prepared to really think deeply about what are their viewpoints, why are they believing in these things or not, and also how to defend what they're saying they believe in, because there's just a lot of stuff coming at, I mean, you know, firsthand, there's just so much coming at young people right now. And by young, I mean everybody under 40. Uh, you know, you guys have have unique things coming at you where you're, yeah, I love how you said you're expected to have an opinion, whether you've had time to think it through or not. There's this just this demand that you have an opinion. And so where are a lot of kids getting their opinions? I would venture to say is probably from social media. Um, but this class is really teaching them to think way beyond that, and to learn and discover and develop and be able to stand firmly on what they believe. So I think you bring a really unique perspective because you're doing it, you're in it. And would you say it's easy? How's it going? Is it challenging?
Oh, I would say it's absolutely challenging, but I think in any situation where you have discourse, where you have discussion, where you have people with different viewpoints, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to just be something that you can breeze through, but also that's how life operates. Life is not always going to agree with you in every situation, and it's not always going to have times where you are going to have things completely easy. So I think for me, having just the ability and the knowledge of how to approach a discussion, when an argument comes my way, how am I going to address that? How am I going to be able to know what I know and not falter on my beliefs, because I actually know how to gather the evidence. I know how to go and have a debate. I know how to address a group and present solutions. Because I have that knowledge, it makes it far easier than a lot of people that I see that once they start getting bombarded with these things, they don't know what to do. And they're like, I'm not sure how to respond to this. So I'm just going to just back away, or I'm just going to say, sure, I'll just go with the crowd. That way I
Mhm.
don't have to try to get challenged by this. It's easier to just go with the flow or run away for a lot of people. But if you can understand how to approach it, it does make it far easier because you don't have to compromise. You can stand firm on your beliefs. You can know what you know, and you can know how to address things in life when they come your way.
I beautifully said, Alex. I love that so much. Um, this is an important class for our kids, especially if you have junior or senior high school kids and they're getting ready to go into the world, whether that's college or university or tech school or the workforce. Because at work, we all know, I mean, there's like so much social pressure to conform to the culture of wherever you're working. So, a really important class. I love the literature that you've chosen for this too, because it's kind of political literature, right? Like Animal Farm is pretty political. You still see memes and jokes about Animal Farm all the time. 19 or Fahrenheit 451, such an important work. Maybe The Crucible and Slaughterhouse Five are not as well known, possibly, but I think these are political works without being like so in your face, and there's so many nuances and layers. And I like the fact, like I said before, that you give time to really have those discussions with the kids. And one of the things I think you're really comfortable with is just waiting for the kids to respond without having to like share your ideas all the time. And that's really the hallmark of a great teacher, is just letting the kids have that space to formulate their thoughts, because this is heavy stuff that we're talking about in these classes, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the topics and the discussions, I mean, they can be potentially very heavy topics, which is one of the reasons why I try to do what I can to kind of keep it from being overwhelmingly heavy. Like even with just the literature courses that we chose, I chose specifically nonfiction books that had a kind of a political undertone in just some of the topics that are being discussed to give kind of just parallels or kind of allegorical ideas. Because I know, at least for me, a lot of people I've talked to when they're going through school, like it's like, okay, yeah, I'm getting these history books and stuff like that. I have all of this history, all of this like nonfiction literature and reading. And now I'm going into an English class and I have to read like a biography. Like there's just so much just like nonfiction stuff. Like I just want to have some kind of fiction. I want to have a little bit of some just kind of something that is a little bit different. So I
Yeah.
think being able to have a story that's fiction, but still having topics and having discussions throughout those that are
Mhm.
really important and really integral things to understand and to know and to have discussions on
Yeah.
really opens up the students to be able to kind of have more of a conversation because they're not afraid to be like, oh, well, am I misrepresenting this historical figure wrong in my
Mhm.
discussion? No, I'm talking about how these animals are on this farm and what that means in parallel to the way things operated in history and the way things are now and the actions of the characters rather than who is the character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. Fiction can be so powerful and really helping us understand the world in which we live without it being so personal. And it just allows us to talk about things that might be too awkward to talk about if it was nonfiction. I just think there's so much power in fictional works, and these are great pieces of literature. Um, so you're going to be teaching this spring. Our spring semester starts January 8th, the week of January 8th, and it's an hour-long class live on Zoom, and then 15 weeks of graded and assigned homework throughout. The other thing I want to mention is Adam Pruzan is going to be teaching the Constitution this spring as a class, and the political essay and Constitution would be great classes to take together, especially again for upper level kids who are going on into the workforce or college, university, the military, because it'll really help them understand what are their rights as U.S. citizens if they are, and then how to defend their viewpoints and their faith and their rights as citizens. And I think that's again some of what these fictional books talk about is if we're citizens, what does that mean for us personally, and what does that mean for us collectively? And these are important conversations for our kids right now.
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely think having that knowledge of like the Constitution, having just that knowledge of one of the most robust political documents that has been created um, in history. There's so much to unpack there, and there's so much to really look at in there, and being able to have that idea of what does the Constitution say? What does that look like?
Yeah,
That can help influence kind of your thoughts on even things like the political literature that we're going to be looking at, or just discussions in life in general, because all of these things aren't in just a vacuum. They're not in a box of just true north. And once you get out of the classroom, you don't have to deal with it. These things come at you from all sides once you get out into the world. So I
yeah.
think having students being able to look at that and really
Mhm.
understand what does the Constitution say, because I feel like so many don't have that knowledge. They don't really know what is the Constitution about.
Yeah,
What does it actually say? I
right.
think that would be such a great resource for so many students.
Yeah. And I love that we're offering them both as one semester classes because you'll get a lot of great learning in 15 weeks. And especially if you pair them together. I love integrated learning. It just makes me so happy. You're a homeschool graduate, aren't you, Alex?
I am, yes. Yeah.
What was
So
your favorite thing about homeschooling? I'm gonna just put you on the
oh,
spot since I've got you here.
yeah. Um, I mean, I know for me, one of my favorite things about homeschooling was the flexibility in learning. So like with me, I have ADHD, I have auditory processing disorder and dyslexia. So those are all things that kind of funneled into making learning in a public school format kind of difficult for me
Yeah,
because the teachers kind of had to make kind of just a cookie cutter. This is just how every student has to funnel through the
yeah,
system. But being homeschooled, there was a lot more attention to being able to kind of look at, okay, well, how do you learn?
yeah.
How is it that you learn best? And being able to kind of suit things a bit and being flexible to make things kind of work in a way that best helped me learn.
Yeah. And I love the fact, I mean, you have auditory processing disorder and dyslexia, and you're teaching lit and comp. I mean, this is really the power of a solid personalized education, and that these labels that can be super helpful because you're like, oh, that's why there's this struggle here. Now, how do we problem solve that and get where we need to go? And that's exactly what you did with your education, and now you're teaching lit and comp, which I love so much, and bringing so much to the table, having these great, rich discussions with the kids, and teaching them how to write a solid essay. Which, listen, your kids need to know how to write a really solid essay. With Chat GPT and AI and all that kind of stuff, there's so many opportunities for them to have uh, tech write things for them. But this is about critical thinking skills. This is about how to know how to put your thoughts together because good writing always means good thinking. And AI can only go so far. It can't think for us. So
Mhm.
thank God for that. um,
Exactly. It's a great tool, but the human mind is far superior in
yeah.
terms of critical thinking and understanding and problem solving.
Right. And the ability to synthesize. I mean, that's one of the things I think is going to be so good about taking these two classes together. If people choose to do that, is because you can synthesize all the information together. And, computers can't do that so well. So it's going to be hopefully a great semester of learning. Anything else you want to just share before we wrap it up, Alex?
Um, I don't know, not too much beyond just thank you for just giving me the opportunity to work with True North.
Yeah.
It has been an amazing 2 years that I've been working here, and I certainly hope for anyone that's watching that if you are considering signing up for any classes, that you would consider these classes that we talked about, and just really consider just your own children and how they can learn how they can learn how to learn as well, because I think that is one of the biggest things with True North that I've seen through all the teachers, through all the staff here. They have such a focus when it comes to helping your student not just gather information, just take that, but gather information and know how to actually use that information, how to actually be able to use it for different things in their lives, how to teach even. There's so many different applications that are being used here that I'm seeing just being such an amazing tool for so many students.
Yeah, I love that. We have an amazing team. I have to say that. I just ended up the last month, I've talked to every teacher on our team as we get ready for fall of 24, 25, which is crazy. It's so it's so far out ahead. But I love talking to our teachers. I love our team. They're from all over the world, and you guys are such a talented group of people. And the other thing too, you have so much compassion and true love and care for the students about how to best prepare them for this really disrupted world in which we live. I mean, some of the stuff you're reading is like, wow, one of the t-shirts is let's make 1984 fiction again. You know, have you seen that t-shirt? I kind of love it, but or you know, kind of like along the lines of Animal Farm. But the teachers really have great concern for the students at True North, and I'm so glad you're part of the team, Alex. You bring a lot to the table, and glad
Thank
that you're able to offer these classes to the kids. So thanks so much. Um,
Of course, you're welcome. I'm glad
yeah,
I get to help students in any way that I can.
yeah. You guys, if you have any questions for Alex or about the classes or about how we run our program at True North, we'd love to talk with you about them. So you can just leave a comment, shoot us a direct message or a private message, and we'd love to answer those for you. Alex, thanks for joining me today. You guys, we'll talk to you soon.